Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with the boys from Sanguisugabogg to talk about the upcoming record, Tortured Whole, out March 26 on Century Media. How you guys doing?
Good, Pedro. Thanks for having us, man.
Oh, thanks for taking the time, guys. I know you guys are really busy because this album is creating all sorts of buzz, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to talk to you guys about the record. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to chat with me about the album.
Sure,
absolutely.
Let's start off by starting from the beginning. So what cosmic occurrence dictated the birth of Sanguisugabogg?
So our guitarist Cameron, he always wanted to do a death metal project, and couldn't find the right musicians to get together and everything. The scene at the time was kind of jaded. More people were into stoner metal, doom, or black metal, not so much death metal, so to speak. And he hooked up with our drummer Cody, who plays multiple instruments. He had a demo and everything that he was sitting on that he recorded himself. Cody brought it to life from there, and then he recruited all of us. At the time he was listening to bands like Demolich and Undergang, the weird froggy old school death metal. And he also does a lot of psychedelics and smokes a lot of weed, and just had a bunch of weird ideas that he was sitting on, and finally found the right people to bring it to life. And we recorded an EP ourselves. It was called Pornographic Seizures. It was out in 2019. And it's from the moment it released, it caught on. We ended up touring, supporting it. We ended up, sorry, still there? All right. Yeah. We ended up touring it and supporting it on 3 different tours right before COVID happened.
And you guys never looked back since.
That's right.
So that is the birth of the band. Now, how would you categorize the sound that you guys have on this record? Because it almost, to me, it feels like there's a few different influences at play. Obviously, death metal being the biggest one, but there's a few others in there if you really break down the tracks. So how would you categorize the overall sound experience of this album?
I think on this record, I think what Cameron and Cody were projecting more was a lot more of the brutal aspects of death metal and stuff. So I think we were starting to pull a little bit more influence from bands like Devourment and stuff like that, along with the brutal Defeated Sanity, for sure. So Dying Fetus as well. And we're also really into Memphis style hip hop, which has super heavy trap beats and stuff. They're super rhythmic. So we were just kind of incorporate these two opposite ends of music that we were finding similarities that we really love about both those styles. So I think that with the combination of just more overall brutal death metal influence is what I think this record was going for. And I think it does a really, really good job of mixing in new aspects of stuff that influences us, as well as stuff from the EP that makes Sanguisugabogg what it is.
Yeah, I think we just expanded on our sound a little bit more than what we already had. And us coming from different backgrounds, me death metal and brutal death metal, Cameron more punk and hip hop, and our drummer is into punk and gore grind, bands like Lord Gore or Last Days of Humanity. We just threw what we like into one big melting pot and try to give everybody a little bowl of
it. Everybody gets a little bit of a piece of the pie, if you will.
That's right.
Where did the inspiration? I mean, I think you guys are super creative. I mean, it's obvious for anybody who listens to this record that you guys are a creative bunch. But when you look at the title of the record, when you look at the title of the tracks, these names don't come up necessarily in a conversation amongst friends. Well, maybe it does in a conversation amongst you guys and amongst your group of friends, not necessarily my group of friends. Where does this inspiration come from for a title like Tortured Whole? Is this a personal experience, perhaps?
Well, the whole thing about Tortured Whole is it's a whole, it's like your whole world is being suffered like right in front of you. So the song Tortured Whole is actually about someone having their house broken into from like an organized like crime boss, and he shoots this guy in front of his entire family. And before he descends into what may be an afterlife, what may be nothing, he has this out of body experience where he hovers over an entire bloodbath and sees his family get slaughtered, and then the cops break in, and then there's just like a huge gunfire everywhere from both sides. So he's watching his entire world fall apart right in front of him, and there's nothing that he can do about it because he's a ghost. So that's what that's from. We like a lot of niche, dry like comedy. I'm big into like old sketch comedy, like Mad TV, Kids in the Hall, and stuff like that. It's kind of like bizarre, funny stuff, funny takes on things. And we'll just come up with a song title, and then I'll try to become a little, Clive Barker or Stephen King with it, and just try to come up with an entire story surrounding the title.
Is that the approach you guys take for the whole record as far as the lyrical content is concerned?
Yeah. It's more so just fabricated, weird like things that you would see in a horror movie or literature.
Do the other guys can sometimes look at you and like, where the hell did this one come from? I mean, like, I was expecting something crazy out of it. All the time, yeah. Because I'm going through the titles, the list of the songs on the record as I'm listening to the album, and I'm like, wow, man, like there's some really great jams as far as names of songs and the lyrical content within the tracks themselves. So it's funny, but there's also a lot of creativity, and there's a little bit of an evil genius, if you don't mind me saying, behind the whole process. So I'm sure the guys look at you and like, man, like you're insane.
Yeah, all the time, man. I come up with that stuff on the fly, and I think it's just from I'm a big bookworm, so I read a lot of horror literature and a lot of sci-fi, and I'm a big movie buff. So John Carpenter and Clive Barker grabbed my brain and rocked my world. So I could come up with some pretty sick stuff just out of nowhere. And that's kind of what we wanted to do, is we wanted to take like those standard bloody gore lyrical themes and turn them on their heads and take a step back, not have it focused on torturing or dismembering women, and have it be, inner stuff like you killing yourself or going on a mass murder spree, or doing just the most bizarre thing where nobody else is safe.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fun weekend with the boys.
That's right. Saturdays for the boys. Yeah.
Well, what was the most challenging aspect of putting this record together?
COVID. Yeah. It kind of lit a fire under our ass for a minute, just because last year we had the whole year like planned out for us pretty much. We were going to tour about 8 or 9 months out of 2020 before we even knew COVID was a thing. And then when it came to just getting everything together, with our state, being on lockdown, us not being really able to get out of our house, it kind of put the silencer on a lot of things. So, but at the same time, it also helped us get together and write everything too.
Yeah, in a weird way, coronavirus like really sucked for the band, because we were put on hold with a lot of really cool plans that were coming with like touring and stuff. But at the same time as well, it affected us like being able to release the album when we would have liked to. We were ideally, I think, shooting for like November of last year. But working things out with Century Media and stuff and coronavirus, it was just really tricky. So we were just like, all right, we got to take what we can with this. But the same time too, because of the time that we were given off, not being able to go tour and stuff, it gave us a lot more time, especially for Cody, who produced the record, to really just sit down and make it as close as to what we want. So in a way, the time we spent with it just definitely made it what it is. So in a way, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, there's some positives and some negatives that come with it. It's the cup is half full and half empty at the same time.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. You mentioned that you create the lyrics and you think about these ideas, but when you look at the overall creative process behind the record, do you guys have predefined roles that fall under each one of your umbrellas, or is kind of like a team effort, a team spirit where everybody comes in with different ideas, different pieces, and then you guys just kind of work it all together?
Yeah. It's actually a little bit of both. What's cool is that we're in a band where 3 of the members primarily play guitar.
Yeah.
So it's a collaboration, especially now more than ever. It's a collaboration on writing different guitar parts and stuff like that. And on this album, you know, Cameron would have an idea, Cody would have an idea, and they would just like put their heads together and create a song out of it. Or Cameron will have a full idea on a song. He'll bring it up to Cody at practice. We'll jam it. And then it's like, all right, now that we have it in our head, let's demo it. So we'll record it there at our jam spot too. And then we'll go back home, work out the kinks, and then come back and really try to bring something to life with it. So when everything's initially brought to us, like ideas for songs and things like that, it'll be initially brought up at practice. Then we work out the kinks at home, and then we polish it when we go back and revisit it.
Wow, really, really cool. I have to go a little bit deeper into the record because one of the things that I immediately gravitated to was the interlude tracks. I know a lot of people don't pay attention to those because they seem a little bit like, you know, like skippable. It's just an interlude track. I thought they allowed the record to be super dynamic, super fluid. I actually love the fact that you guys did them, because it allowed my brain to rest for a few seconds before you put it through the meat grinder with the next track that came right after. So I actually felt that I needed those interlude tracks as I was going through the record. How do you see these interlude tracks? What is your view on them, and why did you guys use them on the record?
So a funny thing is that we had the album done as far as instrumentally and vocally before we signed our deal with Century Media for distribution. And they came back to us and just said, it's too short. We need it's
like 5 minutes worth more time play.
Yeah. We need another slice of cheese like on the sandwich. And
was it under the 30-minute mark? Because right now I think it's around 35, right?
Yeah. So I think it was like just under 30, like just a couple seconds off.
So kind of like Rain in Blood. It was like your Rain in Blood.
Yeah, well, dude, I hope it's our Rain in Blood. That's my favorite thrash record, man. But they that's a good damn. But they came back to us and said we need something else. We didn't want to just pull a song out of our ass. So Cody had the idea to do an interlude, and I love them because they remind me of that 80s horror aesthetic like John Carpenter. And then they also have like a Grand Theft Auto, like Vice City, like vibe to it. Yeah. It's like riding your jet ski in Miami. But yeah, I like how it's like put together on the album and stuff too. And I think it's cool to give the listeners like a breather before getting their heads beat in.
Yeah, that's how I took it. I thought it was genius because the record, I mean, the length of the record helps the brutality of the album, because if the album was 1 hour long, my God, man, like I would need to go to the hospital, you know, afterwards. So the length of the record and the brutality of the record are perfectly matched. But having those interlude tracks is just the icing on the cake. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the perfect segue into the next beat down, you know? So I love it. Personally, I think you guys nailed it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. That rules.
The diversity of sound that this record has, does this allow you guys to not have necessarily rigid guidelines where you feel like, you know, these are the expectations, so we have to create songs that follow this formula, this sound? Do you feel like you're able to go and kind of be who you are and not really have to worry about that kind of sort of stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think with all the creative outlet that this band does, that it's 100% of our own creativity. So it's like nice to like kind of have our own formula and stuff, because it's it just wouldn't feel as genuine if we were like trying to do like something else that like some people are already doing. So just to know that like what we do just out of like instinct in a way, to like what we do naturally creatively is like perceived well is like everything. So
Yeah, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel or anything. We just play what we think sounds good and it blends well just organically. We're in a bunch of other projects that would lean towards more of one side of a genre and then to really expand. So this band is just something we like to stay on our toes with, and we like to try to progress a little bit more and more each time we write something different.
What do you feel is the most unique element of the album overall?
To me, I think the most unique element of it is I would say like honestly the dynamic of riffing and drumming going on, because I think listening to it a bunch, I personally hear a lot of like, when I listen to music and stuff, I try and find like, you know, things that are like relative to stuff that's already in like my vocabulary of music. So hearing Tortured Whole is really, really cool, because the things that it reminds me of, I've never heard a combination of like these things. So it makes it very unique and new sounding to me. So yeah.
I think it's the drumming more than anything, honestly, just because we play ghost notes, and that is not common in death metal at all. And you know, I come from a death metal background before even meeting Cody, our drummer. And it's funny, like my first introduction to literally everybody in the band is when we recorded our EP. I didn't really know them that well beforehand. And I found out that he just has like a cool jazz background and hardcore punk background, and he really brings it to the table. And then he mixes it with blasting and gospel chops, and it kills me. And every time he's playing too, he just has the biggest smile on his face, and it brings like a whole new energy to the table. And so yeah, the drumming, and then to gas him up even more, dude, the production. It's crazy like how big it sounds when we recorded it literally in his basement. So
That's really interesting you say that, because one of the other things that I felt listening to the record is that even though it has this big sound, it has this brutality to it, it's not muddy. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you could really hear, I could hear the bass. Like I can hear all the different elements. It's not like one of those brutal death metal records that things start to kind of cover one or another, or becomes a little bit muddy and murky, and it's kind of hard to define the sound because there's just so much volume coming at you. So that's really interesting that you say that, because I thought the production was phenomenal on this record.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thank you a lot. Yeah, Cody's a wizard at what he does, man. That's why there's been so many bands lately trusting them with their mix and master.
Yeah, he's got a hell of an ear. Yeah.
He'll take our idea and bring it to life and then pump it full of testosterone. It's insane.
Yeah.
And speaking of pumping something full of testosterone, I have to ask you about your music videos. Who's the evil mind behind the creation of these music videos? I don't know what's more impactful, the song in the video or the video itself, or the combination of the two. Is there any boundaries that you guys will not cross when it comes to a music video?
Well, we do. That's funny because like we're trying to not do it like too much, like ham it up a little bit, just because we still want it to be somewhat safe if you're trying to like look it up at school or at work. But
for the kids.
Yeah,
you guys are like the Wu-Tang of death metal. It's all for the children. It's all for the children.
That's right. Yeah, I'm a modern day ODB, and Yeah, maybe we'll release an album with my food stamp card on it.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, the video, the first one was actually like kind of my idea. When I was stoned, and we're like, dude, we're signing a deal with Century Media. We can't, put out this record with some half pint dicks. Like, we gotta see if maybe they'll fund us to have big dick surgery, and maybe we could do that, and our dicks like turn into monsters and turn on us. And when we found out Century Media was actually going to give us money to do a music video, we were just like, yeah, let's run with that. And because our live shows, people go nuts. I kind of like to play homage to like Napalm's Death's like Harmony Corruption days. Like, you see that tour DVD and you see people run up on stage and stage dive and walls of death and people pitting like crazy. And that's something that's been left out of death metal for like a really long time before we became a band. And when we brought that back to the table, it's like, all right, well, with COVID right now, we don't know if anyone's going to be moshing or anything like that. So we can't just have some standard run of the mill type of music video. We have to have something that's a crazy party like the entire time, because that's the kind of atmosphere that we bring live. So the first idea was mine, and then the second idea was like mine and Cody's. Like, we were just talking about, like, wouldn't it be funny if like just everyone just started killing each other because there's only one joint of weed left? And then we were actually thinking about like
It's a real problem.
Funny at the end of it if one of us like Wu-Tanged it and like choked on it and died, so didn't get to enjoy it. But yeah, that cartoon idea was like mostly Cody's idea. And then the Gourd in the Chest video from Trauma, that was the director's idea. We wanted to do like a total collab with Trauma Entertainment, like the guys that did Class of Nukem High and
Sergeant Kabuki Man.
Yeah, Toxic Avenger.
Yeah.
And bring their aspects and stuff into our music video too.
I thought it was really cool because the video, in terms of the evil dicks or alien dicks, I don't know what you want to call them, but they're just, it was like The Thing, but with dicks. So yeah. I was totally down with that. I was like, wow, this is perhaps the short indie movie version of a movie that I would love to see in terms of like full-blown actual movie, like 2 hours of a movie that is all about evil dicks killing people and shit like that. I would totally be down with that.
Oh yeah, man, you like dicks and aliens?
I mean, I think those two things go together, right?
Dude, I thought it would be cool if you mentioned The Thing, if they did like an assimilation where all of our dicks combine each other and it becomes like a dick dog.
Oh, like Power Rangers when they used to morph into one?
Yeah.
But with dicks.
With dicks.
All right. I think I'm totally down with that. You know, like, I mean, who doesn't love a dick? At least your own. I mean, at the very minimal. Minimal. So
and we got to admit that they're funny. You know.
I think you guys are trailblazing a path of glory.
Hell yeah.
You know, so I think you guys are definitely trailblazing. I have one last question for you guys, and that is, are you surprised by all the positive response from the media, from fans, surrounding not just the music videos, but surrounding the album itself? I mean, everywhere I turn these days on social media, there's something about you. Like there's somebody talking about either the album or a song or a video or something. Are you guys shocked, or you were expecting it? Deep down inside, were you expecting it?
I think we're super shocked because at heart for us, we just love to make music and be creative people. So I mean, we're all in our mid-20s, getting ready to go in our 30s in the next couple of years, and we've all been making music for 10 plus years now. Mm-hmm. So, and we've never done it for more than anything else other than we love it. So to finally do something that we love and enough people care about it that we can do more with it is just, it's just the extra cherry on top, like for real. Mm-hmm. So like it's truly just like amazing.
Yeah,
to say the least.
Yeah, man. You know, we come from a background where we're used to playing house shows and playing on the ground more than we are playing a stage. So the fact that this all grew and we didn't expect it from the get-go. Like, we just thought it would be like a side project in the beginning. And then, you know, we took that chance going on that first tour, and playing sold out dates, you know, really opened our eyes. I said, hell with it, man. I'm going to give it my all. And even if I don't succeed at it, at least I had fucking fun doing it. And
Yeah, that's all that matters.
yeah, you only live once. So the fact that, you know, people, you know, talk about it really highly and they're really stoked on it, that gets us excited. We remember faces and names all the time. And anytime someone messages us and says how much our band means to them and how much our music means to them, that means a lot for all of us. And we actually write them back and just be like, dude, we love you. You know, that rules. So we try to take a fun little atmosphere with us. And when our fans show up that really dig us and they want to tell us that, it's like, cool, now we're friends now. Come party with us, you know?
That's great. That's great. I love that attitude, because I think that's something that's important in the music business, and it's important in a band, because at the end of the day, you guys are having fun, you're connecting with people, and when you find people that connect with you guys, that bond stays there forever. Like, you can't walk away from it.
For sure.
Well, guys, thank you very much for your time today. This was an absolute pleasure. So I want to thank the two of you for taking the time. All the best with the release. I don't even know if I need to say that, because I know this is going to be a huge success. So, but have fun with it anyways. Enjoy the success, and hopefully we'll get to see you guys north of the border at some point in the great city of Toronto. I'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. That'll be sick.
All right, guys. Take care. See ya.
See you,
Yeah,
Pedro.
thank you.
Take it easy, man. Stay heavy.